Welcome to another episode of the GCN Tech Clinic, where we aim to answer your bike and tech related questions, and you can submit them using the hashtag AskGCNTech in the comments section down below on other videos and social media as well. So without further ado, let's get into this week's questions. First up, we've got a question from Eric Arnold, who says, "Hi GCN, recently purchased a new pair of Zip 303S wheels. And he's ordered a pair of GP 5000 Continental tubeless tyres to go on them. But he says that those tyres, after he's done some research, are only to be mounted on hooked rims, and the wheels he's got are the new Hookless wheels, which we've had in mountain biking for a while, but are quite new onto road cycling. Zip make them, but also Envy and Head make them as well at the moment. And he asks, can he use those tyres still on his Hookless rims? No. The answer is no. If a tyre says it's not to be used on a hookless rim, don't use it. Now, I'm aware that within mountain biking, and this technology has come from mountain biking, that some mountain bikers have gotten away with using, tyres that aren't for hookless rims on hookless rims, but that system is completely different. With road tyre setups, you're generally running much higher pressures, and the risks of blowing your tyre off the rim are much higher. And if this were to happen when you were riding, well, I mean, you don't want to think about it, do you? Next question is from John Hudson, who says, I'm new to cycling and I'm borrowing a road bike off my uncle. It's got mountain bike clipless pedals in. Would it be worth changing them to road clipless pedals? I'd say if you're borrowing a bike and you're just getting into the sport, keep them on, save your money. There's nothing wrong with using mountain bike clipless pedals. As you progress in the sport, if you get into it and you find it's something you want to do more and more, you'll probably end up getting a pair of road clipless pedals. The main reason for people using road specific pedals is that they're often a bit lighter than mountain bike pedals, and the shoes, road specific shoes that go with them, are often also a little bit lighter than mountain bike shoes. And the cleat interface with the pedal is usually gives a bit wider a platform on a lot of pedal designs, and some people prefer the feeling of that. But that said, there's plenty of recreational road cyclists who've been doing it for years and years and years, who stick with mountain bike pedals and swear by them. So yeah, I'd say for now, just enjoy the ride and, keep at it, and hopefully you really get into it. Next question is from David Bajnai. Sorry if I've not pronounced that correctly. He says, hey Manon / Ollie. Fair, I'll give you that. After I washed my bike, shall I lubricate my derailleurs, or shall I just lubricate the chain? Well, you should lubricate the chain definitely, and you should also lubricate your derailleurs, but this isn't something that you do every week. Let me find some grease out of my park toolbox. So the kind of lube that you would put in your derailleurs is more of a grease, like this sort of Park Tool high performance grease. Now, any sort of moving parts that are moving against each other, they're going to last longer and perform better if they have some kind of lubrication, but you generally use a thicker kind of lube or grease in a derailleur than you would on your chain. So, a specific chain lube for your chain, specific grease for other moving parts on the bike. This will last longer, it will sort of stay in there and won't wash out as easily. So you're not doing it every time you wash your bike. It's more of a longer term service cycle thing that you would do with that. But yeah, the springs on the derailleur can seize up if they're not properly lubricated. So yeah, apply something. Next question is from Ronnie Young, who says, as an aggressive road cyclist, I'm assuming he's referring to his riding style rather than he just gets into fights all the time. Should I choose a super stiff carbon soled shoe or a more sort of all-round shoe? Because I feel that many track cyclists are preferring to use Bonts. I said Manon used to use them. And road cyclists tend to use a bit more all-round, like a specialised S-Works shoe. What are the good and bad consequences of a super stiff sole? Well, with regards to shoe stiffness, in my experience, all the sort of top-end brands, their top-end shoes are comparatively stiff. It's quite hard to pick between them. They're all very stiff. So whether that's, you know, Specialized, Physique, Shimano, Bont, they're all very similar in terms of stiffness. I think by far the most important thing that you need to look for, and I would say anyone else looking for good shoes, is comfort. And that's an individual thing. And it's one of the reasons why, well, it's pretty much the main reason why, that you will see pro riders, the best sprinters in the world, they will be allowed to have their own shoe sponsor, and they're allowed to wear something different from the rest of the team, because the team recognise that shoe comfort is so important and it's so individual, and some shoes fit people better. So try a load on. I'd go for, you know, a top end shoe from any brand is going to be really stiff. Just find the one that fits and feels the most comfortable to you. That would be the best advice. Although, you know, and if you are like an absolute watt monster, you know, someone like Philip Hines or Jason Kenny, you know, a track sprinter who does 2,000 watts or more for breakfast, like it's easy. Well, a lot of those guys have custom made shoes on the track, but, you know, not many of us are in that boat. I'm certainly not. I'm lucky if I can crack 1,000 watts. But yeah, so I'd do that if I were you. Next question is from Ragel Perez, who says, when do we know when to change pedals? Thanks for this question, man. That is a good question, and it's something that I think a lot of cyclists get wrong, and it's something that I'm guilty of getting wrong myself. So hopefully, by answering it, I can pass on the experience I've had and you won't make the same mistake. So I've got some of my old pedals. Where are they? Here we go. So these are some Shimano Dura Ace pedals. Very nice pedals. I had these years and years, put thousands of, I mean, probably estimate, I don't know, 25, maybe even 30,000 kilometers in these. And I do take care of my stuff and do try to, you know, maintain it and make it last as long as possible, but they did wear out, and pedals do wear out. Now they wear out in two areas. The first one's a bit more obvious, I think, which is the bearings. So the bearings on these haven't gone. They're still fine. But if your bearings do go, you will, it's quite easy to, getting a bit of dirt on my fingers, it's quite easy to notice just simply by turning the pedal. If you feel any resistance in the pedal axle, or if it feels a bit gravelly, sometimes you can hear it if you listen to it, if it's a bit gravelly or grainy, the bearings might need servicing. And this is something that can be fixed. You can change your pedal bearings if you really want to. The next area where pedals tend to wear out, and this is something that can't be fixed, is the pedal body wears away. Now, this takes a long time to happen. It happens over time. So if I zoom right in on this pedal here, you can see how that shape there is meant to be a uniform curve, but can you see how it's like more worn here and not as worn there? And if you look on the other side as well, you can see it's got that indentation where it's worn in, and you can see on the other side as well, and it's a bit more pronounced how much wore. That one's even more worn there you go. Now, when your pedal bodies have worn away like that, there's not really anything you can do. They just need replacing, unfortunately. But the upside is they do last a really long time. I mean, like I said, I did tens of thousands of kilometers on these pedals with no problem. And they do need replacing. It's not just your cleat that wears away. You need to replace your cleats when they wear away as well. But what I started to get was a bit of pain actually in my knee, and I noticed that my knee was tracking a bit funny. And I actually noticed this in videos, having been filmed, and a few viewers actually spotted it as well, that my knee was tracking a bit weird. And yeah, that was because my pedals had worn away, and then it was causing my knee to track funny. If you speak to bike fitters, they'll say a similar thing about this as well. But yeah, just have a look at the wear on your pedal system, stay on top of it, and then replace them when you need to. Right, that's all we've got time for this week. Keep your questions coming in, hashtag #AskGCNTech, fire them down below, social media, and you can put them in other videos as well. But yeah, always a pleasure to answer your questions, and sorry if I didn't get around to answering your question this time, but yeah, we'll keep trying and get through as many of them as possible. And in the meantime, if you'd like to support the channel and what we do, well, shop.global cycling network, get yourself a new GCN casquette, which is ideal for covering up your quarantine, lockdown, no hairdressers or open hair. I probably should have put it on earlier on in the video, to be fair, but yeah, I forgot. Sorry. See you next time.